Dumela, Sawubona, Sakpase, Namaste, Upshin, Dubra Ota, Assalamu alaikum, Hotep, even. Greetings and welcome, everyone. This is a special episode of The Digital Couch. My name is Doriel Anez Larrier, and some people know me as Sister Imani, and that is how you are going to regard me on today. So this is our season 2, episode 7. I cannot believe it, episode 7. But we are here, we are in this space, and we are welcoming another amazing person to the digital couch. So those of you who know, like I know, those of you who will watch this live, of course, I would love for you to share. We are on Facebook, personal, business, and YouTube. Those of you who are going to see this on the replay, it is going to be a really, really warm-hearted and loving and just gifting type of a chat. And so please allow me to bring to the digital couch right here Sister Aaliyah Bowler, who is going to talk to us about the greatest gift that a person can give to another person is to help them through ushering a new life into this world. That is one of the greatest gifts, and that's the conversation we're going to have tonight on the digital couch. So welcome, Sister Aaliyah.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. And just for the record, we may have a little visitor who's going to pop into, there he goes, into the conversation.
Yeah.
But that's what we're here to do. So first and foremost, welcome to the digital couch. And we know that the name of your business is Yeyes Gift Doula Services.
Yes.
What in the world does that mean for those who do not know, may have heard, and how did that little guy get here by you doing what you do?
So Yeye is actually a Yoruba word, and it means mother. And so this is essentially my gift to mothers. And of course, a doula is a trained professional sister, mother, auntie, grandma, all wrapped up in one. Doulas assist mothers to be. And really, I like to say that I help build families and primarily through birth, but also a very important part of birth is postpartum care. So I also train and coach moms and dads to not only get through the birthing process, but also to prepare for a wonderful, wonderful postpartum experience. So that is what Yeye's Gift Doula Services is. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. And it's been a really, really great year. In the past year, I started my business in January of 2021. So right at the height of the pandemic. And it's been so rewarding so far. As you probably saw him walking in the background. I have a 17-month-old. His name is Devon, and he's a joy. So in all senses of the word, Yeye, mother, that is me, and that is the energy that I believe I came into this world with. And it is the gift and the talent that I have been blessed with. And one of my missions that I believe in is that I am here to collaborate with other women, collaborate with women that look like me, that look like my mother, that look like my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and really help facilitate better birth outcomes for us and for our women and for our families.
So let's touch on that for a moment. You said better births and better birth outcomes. So there are a lot of scary, if you will, like scary conversations and scary reports of mothers who have not so great experiences going into hospitals. And not to say that hospitals are bad. There's no way in the world I would say that. But the treatment of a woman going into the hospital in order to give birth and how comfortable she may feel or may not feel, whether or not she's asked to you can't eat, right? Or you have to be laid on your back all the time because we need to monitor you. And of course there are reasons for that, but when a woman just they need that ambiance, they need that really warm, they need their family around in order to keep them calm. They may need music. How do you support that? And how do you get families on board to say that this is another option for you?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I 100% agree with what you just said. There is a time and a place for hospitals, and they indeed do save lives every single day. And the truth of the matter is that with birth, really we have to take pregnancy and birth and put it into perspective that it starts before that happens, right? So preconception is when all of this really should be planned and talked about, and to really come from a mature understanding that bringing life into this world for a lot of people is not easy, and for a lot of people that look like us, there are a lot more risk factors and a lot more the scary isms, I can call it maybe right now, that we do have to consider. It doesn't mean that that will be our story, but traditionally, when we're dealing with institutions and institutionalized learning, that's sort of mixed with implicit bias, racial bias, things like that, medical racism, all of that matters, and all of that can negatively impact our birth experiences. So it is true, Black women, it's really not a secret. Black women in the United States, especially, have almost 300% higher rates of maternal mortality. So that would be maternal death, infant mortality, and other morbidities, which are more severe end of this spectrum, but not necessarily including death. But all the same, it is a tragedy, and a lot of it is, quite honestly, it's appalling at how our women are being treated in the hospitals. Just in the past year, I've been a doula for about 5 years now, but in the last year, I've had quite a few of my close personal friends also be initiated into motherhood, and their stories of how they were treated in labor, not being listened to, unfortunately, first-time moms, and of course, we're talking about people who are new to this, so may not have had the prenatal education, or may not have been exposed in their lifetime to how birth, labor, the physiology. We really have to educate ourselves on these types of things so that we know what to expect, and we're not going into life or death situations unprepared. Right. And so, like I said, I've had quite a few personal friends have very, very, very adverse and dangerous births. And in my professional opinion, if a doula had been involved, maybe some of those things could have been avoided.
Okay.
And I say that with respect to everyone's process and everyone's destiny, but I think that doulas really are, a lot of people consider them to be a luxury, but I don't agree with that. I think that doulas and this line of work, birth work, is something that should be made available when possible to everyone.
So let's talk about access. So you just mentioned the word that might frame the access, and you said it is considered a luxury, and you're thinking that it should possibly be like a necessity, or a part of like the mandatory offerings, if you will.
Yeah.
How has the role of the doula changed from, let's say, 30, 40, 50 years ago? And let's even bring it back even further. Let's talk about like the grandmothers in the room, or the when women could not get to the hospital, and how the midwives, it's like, what's the role between yourself and a midwife for the family, for the birthing family?
Okay, so to my understanding, the word doula is a fairly new word. It's a new generation word, and traditionally in African American culture, really African culture throughout the diaspora, is we have granny midwives. That is an African American term, position, and that originated out of slavery, and throughout the diaspora, we have more communal versus individualistic attitudes when it comes to birth, pregnancy, birth, and postpartum care. So traditionally, maybe in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, we would see midwives more often, home birth midwives. And of course, segregation was very prevalent, Jim Crow, things of this nature. And I actually, through this line of work, I learned that I had a cousin. And matter of fact, I have a book. She is Claudine Curry. My bag was always packed. This is her autobiography, actually. She, The Life and Times of a Virginia Midwife. I'm from Virginia. My family is from the Northern Neck. So I actually am still learning about my heritage. But she is one of my cousins, actually. And she's related to my grandmother. And she was a traditional grand midwife and one of the only ones in that area. And through reading her book, I learned about how women, Black women, she would go to the home and she would go by night. And when she would get there, so she serviced, I'm not, if you're familiar with the Richmond, Lancaster County, Chesapeake Bay area.
Yeah.
She would, I'm trying to keep an eye on my son because I hear him, but I don't see him.
I know.
So she would attend births by night, and her bag was always packed. So essentially what that means is her midwife bag. It was always packed.
Right.
And she mentions the use of very early, what wasn't narcotic. It wasn't a narcotic. So nowadays we have epidurals to help
but like
with
a sedative.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
A sedative, some form of like not an analgesic.
Demerol.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said. Yeah. So Demerol is what she would use, and essentially it would be like a sedative. We put it on a cloth, and the mother would inhale it, and it would just kind of make her kind of fall out a little bit, enough for them to do what needed to be done, for her to push the baby out if there was any complications, or if she was just, in too much pain or whatnot. It would ease her into what they call like twilight sleep a little bit.
Wow.
And so that was one of the common tools that they used. But, she mentioned sometimes they would lose babies sometimes. And, those babies, oftentimes, if they didn't make it past the first couple of days, those babies were never named. And so I often think about during this line of work, how many babies have never been named? How many babies have returned and become ancestors? Like that type of connection, because I do believe birth work is ancestral. And through this work, I have learned that for me, that is indeed the case. I also have learned that I had
See, he's saying
my grandfather, who just recently passed. So his great grandmother was a slave. Her father was a white man, and her mother was a slave. So in the birth record, she's considered mulatto. And I looked her up, and she was one of like 14 children between the slave owner and their mother. All of them had their mother's last name. And one of the children was also a midwife, and she basically delivered everyone in the family. And so for me, that was a very it hit me, because I'm like, wow, I had been wondering why this line of work called to me, why this line of work just seemed so natural for me, why there were just parallels that could not have been any more divine in my journey to becoming a doula, training, and just how natural it feels for me. So it's really been an ancestral work for me. It's been about shadow work for me, healing from my own birth experience. And it's been about giving all that I know and all that I've learned to the next family, to prepare them for what is to come, to make sure that they're having not only safe but enjoyable birth experiences.
Right. So I want people to know that the doula work is trained work, right? And
Oh
so
yes.
maybe just let us know as we sort of wrap this conversation up, because I definitely want people to follow you, to go check you out, to pass the word on. And even though you're in, Atlanta, that's okay. That's okay, because I know you're part of a network of doulas who are all over, right? I'm sure you're keyed in, and you can maybe give not references, but recommendations to the work, and people like me who help bring in some lives into this world. It's such a beautiful moment. But tell us about the official training that doulas have to go through so that people feel more comfortable with calling upon you to step in to support them. This is not just like, you're calling up a dentist, but it's also it's heart and soul work. So you could have a list of 5 people who have been referred to you, but you have to really feel that person, because that person is going to be part of your intimate space and time, and like see everything and be involved in everything. And that's some work. But what's the training that doulas have to go through?
So most doulas, actually, there is no certifying one main body for doulas to be considered a doula. Of course, doula, there are thousands probably of doula trainings, professional, small business, organizations, all the way down to, a young lady who may have just started teaching and just started training other doulas, but may have been involved in this line of work for years now. So it varies depending on which route you want to go. I have trained exclusively with other Black women. My training started in 2018, and it was with Sister Midwife Productions. I did almost a 2-week training in Houston, Texas, and shout out to Nicole Deggins. She is the OG. She is a certified nurse midwife. She's a doula trainer. She's a doula. She's all of these things. She's a New Orleans native, so she's family, and she is absolutely amazing. And I trained with her. So sorry. I trained with her, and this line of work, it's continuing education. So over the last almost 2 years, I've been training with Lamaze, which is a professional childbirth education organization. And I also have experience training with the Association of Placenta Preparation Arts to become a placenta encapsulator as well. So, there are different avenues that doulas can go through to get their professional training, to get their certifications. So I don't want anyone to think that there's any one right way to do it. That's certainly not the case. But definitely, if you are expecting and you know that you would like to have a doula to be a part of your birth experience, definitely don't be hesitant to ask for credentials and to ask for, where they trained, because like you said, this is a very intimate thing. This is requires a lot of trust, and it shouldn't be taken for granted. So definitely inquire about that. That should be part of the interviewing when you're searching for your doulas and you're having your consultations and all of that. Training is a very big part of that. And I do want to say that doulas are not considered medical professionals. We are not here to give medical advice. But in a way, this is a very hands-on profession. It's a very spiritually led profession for many people, myself included. And it's one of those things that I like to stay on top of my skills, like to stay on top of my research, things that are coming out, especially with COVID. Like, we're still learning the long-term effects of COVID on the pregnant body, on the laboring body, the placenta, which is a huge part of the success of a pregnancy. My own pregnancy actually ended early. Well, I don't want to say ended, but I gave birth prematurely. I was only 23 weeks when he was born. which for a full-term pregnancy to be 40 to 42 weeks, I wasn't even technically 6 months pregnant yet when he was born. So my placenta ended up rupturing. So I don't know why it did. There's still a lot of things about my birth that I'm still unpacking. But you know, when we're talking about COVID, what are the effects of this virus on our women, on our bodies, on our babies? So this is all research that is going to continue to come out in the years to come. But that is part of a doula's job. A good doula will stay on top of these things to be able to really educate their clients. Education is, for me, is the root of how I train, how I coach, and how I get mamas and daddies through through their births and through their postpartum experiences. It all starts with education, because I cannot guarantee how your birth will turn out. Only God can determine that. But if I don't present to you your options, if I don't educate you, then you won't know what you may not know. How do I say you won't know? But you may not know all of what can occur. So it's best to be prepared as best as possible for bringing life into this world, because it is not a joke.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. So last question, of course, I actually have about like 6 more questions, but time is of the essence. And I definitely want people to follow you, to go, look you up. And you are on, I know I met you on Instagram. So thank you for coming over to Facebook. That's fine. You can give him a hug. So where can people find you? Hey, big boy. Hi. Where can people find you?
Oh, look. He's showing your book. Okay. So you can find me on Instagram at Yeyes Gift. That's YeyesGift. And on Facebook at Yeyes Gift Official. And you can visit my website, which is www.yeyesgift.com. You can learn all about me, all about my birth experience, the clients that I've helped here in the US and internationally. And you can schedule your consultations, schedule your postpartum services. I've got meal prep available for moms here in Atlanta. And I'm really excited about that. I consider myself to be a doula chef. I love cooking. So that's something that I'm really excited to debut this year. Placenta, all types of holistic and family-oriented services are on my website.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you, Sister Aaliyah, for being on the digital couch.
Thank you, Sister Imani. I appreciate it.
And the young boy right there. So peace and blessings. This is a Learn to Grow You moment where I plant seeds to help you grow. Thank you so much for the people who have popped onto the digital couch tonight. If you know anybody who is considering bringing a new life into this world and want to expand their birthing team, then a doula is where it's at. Make sure that you can include a doula. And it doesn't matter if you're doing a home birth, if you're doing a hospital birth or a labor room birth, or, all of the options. But a doula is a really, really good additional person. Having your best friend there is okay. Having your mama and them is okay. But you kind of want somebody who's not directly connected to the family line, who can be a little bit objective, who doesn't give like, when I gave birth to you and you should.
Right. You want somebody who's going to be able to advocate for you. Right. You want somebody who's going to be confident in advocating for you, and somebody who's well informed on labor and all that you are going through. You want that person your birth team to be well-rounded, to be able to support you through any and everything, to get you through and have that baby safely as possible. So I also offer, I wanted to just put this tidbit in there, I also offer virtual coaching. So if you do not live in the Atlanta area, but you're interested in, crash courses to prepare for your birth, I 100% am available for that. And it's something that I very much enjoy doing. So you can also find that on my website.
I look forward to it. So again, you want to look up Yeyes Gift Doula Services. I'm saying it right. Yeyes Gift Doula Services.
Yes. Yep.
Right, Yeyes Gift Doula Services on Instagram. Make sure, and on Facebook as well. If you just start typing in Yeyes, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find it.
Yeah.
So again, please refer Sister Aaliyah to other people who are, again, going through the birthing process, preparing to go through the birthing process, and they want someone, whether you're in the Atlanta area or, as she said, she's doing virtual consultations as well and virtual doula services. That would be fabulous. I want you to win, and I want you to bring in as many healthy babies into this world.
Absolutely, Ashe.
Ashe, on this day of love, peace, and blessings. I love you dearly. So hold tight as I wrap up here. So again, this is a Learn to Grow You Mom, where I plant seeds to help you grow. And if you stay with us at the 7 p.m. time, we will have another episode tonight. So I'll see you all in a little bit.